Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the most fantastical, diabolical, playoff bound show ever known to the NFL playoffs. It's What's Good America, ladies and gentlemen. I am C. Turner. That fins up, Miami bound. We beat the Bills once, we'll do it again. You don't know. I'm going for the Dolphins. Let's just get that understood. All right. We had to do a little bit to get in, but we in there. And you can't dance at the dance if you're not in the dance. So we in the dance to do the dances that we do. So we're gonna do what we does to get what we got to get done because we in the playoffs. Ass backwards. Ladies and gentlemen, the co-host of this show, the gainfully employed, Chi-Town, the West Coast, the South Suburbs, the West Coast, the Midwest, and everything in between, the rightful governor of Montana, the soon-to-be father of a little biracial, racially ambiguous child, James Big Game Madison Walton the third. What's going on, baby?
Okay, look here. First and foremost, what's good, America? Listen, I will be 100. This show is going to be a little bit charged. We're going to try to stay actual, factual when we need to, but we got something really big to talk about. And it's nothing better for me when it's doused with a little bit of mediocrity. I mean, like, this is what it is, man.
You're such a hater.
I mean, it's such a low, high point for me right now. There's nothing better, Chris Turner, than when we do what we do best, which is be a Michael Jordan free throw percentage. Whether it's you or me or it's a combination, Mike Bazemore predicted the college football playoffs in the first year of the existence of this show. So that's all I got to say. That's what we own. And that's what we're going to be talking about all through this. He needs no introduction. I spoke his name. He's on the bottom of my screen, Chris. Where's he at on your screen?
He's on the bottom of mine.
So he's on the bottom, man. But you know what, man? You can't keep a director on the bottom, man, because he's on top. Rocking the green and white. Director.
Spartan Mike Dog.
Baseball. Spartan Dog.
That was good, man.
And before we get going, because tonight is January 8th, I got to make sure I do this or I might get just shunned from my own personal group. I want to send a special shout out to the brothers of Royal Blue and Pure White. Tomorrow is Founders Day. I want to send a special shout out to everybody that Spring 07 class, that Tears line, the Phi Beta Sigma, the tattoos and all that stuff all over me with all that. But a big shout out to all the bros who are, I guess I can't say all the bros because I don't know if I got to put pronouns and all that shit in right now, but whatever. All the bros of Phi Beta Sigma, happy Founders Day. Started in 1914. Big shout out, Spring 07, stand up. Now that that's out the way, I ain't gonna toss it because
I thought you said all the broads. I was like, whoa, where is this going?
Whoa, wait a minute.
I said, where is this going?
Right.
I'm like, this is a family show.
All right. Now that I got that out the way, we're in playoffs, baby. It's playoff mode now. It's playoff push. I had to do a couple push-ups before we get online because now it's the playoff push. We in there. We might have fallen in the ass backwards, but goddamn Dolphins in the playoffs, baby. Let's just get that understood.
Yeah, and we'll talk about them first because let's be real. And Baze, I would love to hear your thoughts about their season, but I'm going to say first things first. Number one, they deserve to be in the playoffs because they've been a good football team all year. Number two, this show predicted that they would easily be in the playoffs. So the fact that they got it done versus one of the best defenses with their third string quarterback is impressive. And number three, let's call it what it is. If Tua wasn't so injury prone and was able to play at least 13, 14 games, they might have won the East.
But here's the thing. I think that's going to be a problem his entire career because whatever his height and weight are that they got in the program, we're all athletes. We already know your program height does not match your actual height and weight on the actual field. Let's get that
I
understood
did.
because my program height and weight in college was 6'5", 315. Yeah, not there. So he's actually probably closer to
You
6 feet.
really, you really put 6'5" on your joint?
Yeah, I had 6'5" on mine. Yeah.
Mine had 6'4", and I'm 6'4" in my pads because I actually stand up straight. I got the high booty, so I was looking suspect out there, walking on my toes. So I was legit 6'4".
No, I
So
had that 6'5", 6'5.5" on all of mine.
so I'm just
Like,
saying.
if you go back and look at the Alabama program right now, it says 6'5.5", 315 to 317.
I mean, we should go back and look at your college football 2003. Like, if they got you listed to 6'5", I'm gonna be upset.
Oh, if you go back to NCAA right now,
NCAA, yeah.
and as a matter of fact, my freshman year, I was 6'5" my freshman year on Florida State defense. Number 50, 57. I think they gave me a bogus number. Boom. My speed was terrible. My strength was horrible. But my awareness was high for some reason. I don't know. Like it was fucked up.
And clearly, so was your height.
Oh, by all means. By all means. It was trash.
Hayes,
But no, man.
What are your thoughts on the Finn season as they have come into the playoffs with the daunting task of going to Buffalo? And we'll get deeper into this over the week, but got to give shout outs first.
No, I think they definitely earned it. I mean, they are the sprinter that jumps out ahead in a 400-meter race. Like they got a strong start. They have a very strong middle of the sprint game, and they have just enough as they cross in that finish line in the 400 to be someone that places.
Yes, he's saying like they are seventh place All American.
Wow.
I wasn't going that far. I was saying that they were a respectable competitor, and if they had the right wind and things of that nature, they could potentially be in like the top two. But the way that their team is set up right now, they just don't really have enough to consistently be a top tier team. But on any given day, they always got a puncher's chance, which is tricky, So I don't think they're going to do much in the playoffs, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did upset someone and get a win. So I'm not, I'm not too surprised that they got in.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, like, if I'm not even gonna go back to the drafting because I've made it clear that I wanted Herbert from the get-go. Like I've made that clear. I have no problem with Tua. Tua's an Alabama guy. I went to Bama, all that good stuff. My problem with Tua is like he's just fragile. Like he's a 6-foot quarterback. He's a 6-foot quarterback. That's just what it comes down to. You're 6 foot and you're barely 215, 220. So anytime a good shot is landed on you, like your health is going to be in question. So I love Tua to death. He's a great quarterback. I wouldn't give him the field general title yet, but like he's a good quarterback. If we had him 17 games, I'm with you, Walt. You're right. I think we pull off more wins than we have right now. We definitely don't like some of those suspect games we don't lose. But when you got Tua go down, and then you got Teddy Bridgewater, who's definitely showing that maybe it's not there for the Dolphins. And then you're bringing in Skyler as the third string quarterback, which, to be honest with you, I had to go look it up to figure out who he was the last couple of times he's played. So to have that, but then still have two top 10 receivers, top 10 tight end, top 7 defense, like it'll get you far enough. But at the end of the day, your title chances live and die with your quarterback.
Yeah. And, obviously, like I said, we're going to have more time to really kind of talk about them when we break down the whole AFC throughout the week. So you'll hear me plugging that here and there. But there's a reason why this session was called today. And it is obviously painstakingly on my chest. This is part one of why we're having this show. And, I'm going to definitely give the floor before I talk about what I've seen from my team, what this means. This is the first number one overall pick the Bears have had since 1947. So let's put that in perspective for what just happened with the mediocrity that we have become. This is like I think the Cleveland Indians might have by a year have a longer streak of this that we just broke. So think about that for a minute, America. But whoever would like to go in first and talk about the dumpster fire that is Chicago Bears and have a ball with it, please, by all means.
Listen, anytime I get a chance to bag on Chicago, I will do it, and I will do it proudly. All right? Where do I start? Do I start with R. Kelly? No, we're talking about football, so let me keep it on football. All right.
Found a way, America. They found a way.
I don't think the Bears are as bad as you are making them out to be. Yes, they do have the worst record in football. And yes, your record is who you are. I'm trying to spin it. Give me a second. I'm trying to spin it.
I love the way you're spinning it right now. Keep going.
Yes, your record is who you are. But you have a lot of bright light. Well, you have some bright lights on this team. Justin Fields can be your gap quarterback. I really feel like he can be your gap quarterback. I don't think he's your guy for the long term, but I think he's going to be your gap quarterback to get you to whoever it is who might. And I don't think you're looking for a rookie. I think you're looking for a quarterback with a second contract or possibly third contract. So I feel like you build a roster around Justin Fields, which you're doing a decent job, and you're going to have a lot of picks, and you're going to trade away somehow, some way this first pick, unless you decide to go and get Will Anderson, but then you probably fuck that up like you did Roquan Smith. But I feel as though you got enough of that team to build. So next year, when the Packers retire Aaron Rodgers' jersey and they're going rebuilding mode, essentially you'll be looking up at the Vikings and you'll be looking up at the Lions, sadly as to say, because damn, the Lions look pretty damn good the way Jameson Williams is now starting to come on and be healthy, which goes on to say we should have won a national championship if both our receivers would have been healthy. Anyway, you're going in the right direction. You'll have the picks, you'll have the capital to do what you need to do. It's just, I won't say that Justin Fields is a bad quarterback. I'll just say he's not the quarterback for you, like for your system. So if you had an OC that was willing to build around him, then maybe. But I don't think long-term Justin Fields is going to be a Chicago Bear.
So why the hell they drafted him?
He was there. Like well, they moved up to get him too, didn't they? I can't even give him that excuse. He's a gap quarterback, dude. I don't see him as a long-term. I wasn't a fan of his in college, so I'm trying not to bag on him now because he ran from competition at Georgia. He ran in the Big Ten, which we all know is a shit of a conference as it is.
Okay, see, like that, you were doing great until like the Big Ten slander.
They set me up.
We're not going to do Big Ten slander.
All I gotta say is that Justin Fields flamed college football. Now, is it system dependent? I would say Ohio State has a narrative of being a system that makes their quarterbacks look really good. We have not had an Ohio State quarterback. Now, if you really want to keep it all the way 1,000, Justin Burrow has some Ohio State blood. So
LSU.
He has Ohio State blood. How many years was he at Ohio State?
How many natties did he win at LSU?
See, everybody wants to deflect. How many years was he at Ohio State?
I believe 2 or 3. I'm not sure if there was a red shirt year,
but
2 or 3.
There are 3. And he was at LSU. How many years? 2?
2.
Okay. I'm just saying. So if you want to be all the way authentic, there was development there with Justin Burrow at Ohio State. But yes, he
let's
gets
get
all the
his
credit
name
at
right,
LSU
Bays.
because that offense
He's a little
propelled his
better.
skill level.
He's a little bit better to be calling him Justin. Let's call that guy by his name. That's
Joe.
Let's stop doing the.
So
Stop
hold
throwing,
on. With
stop
that
throwing
narrative being
Fields.
said,
How dare you?
then technically by Bays' logic, your quarterback is all Alabama there, right?
Which quarterback?
For the Eagles.
He is. I mean, yeah, you give him the bloodline of being Alabama, but just like how when Burrow went to LSU, it propelled his skill level. They opened up his skill level more. Lincoln Riley did that for for Jalen Hurts. So
I'm just trying to make sure it's an even street.
Yeah, I keep that same energy. He is an Alabama product. He is. I mean, it is what it is. Now, they didn't put him in a proper system to let his skills be what they were. And we're learning more about him on it. Like at every game, we're learning more about Jalen Hurts, which is fun to see. Because I mean, Lincoln Riley is another thing. His quarterbacks come out. They're maybe system quarterbacks, or are they as good as what they put on the field? But in terms of Mr. Fields,
yeah. Can we get back to the Bears? How did we get to Alabama? How did you find a way, Chris?
We took detours.
Oh my God! Damn.
So here is my thing.
Lord.
Here is my thing.
Go ahead, Baze.
The only thing I wanted was the same time for Justin Fields to either fail or succeed like all the other quarterbacks that has been hyped up from.
So how long is that?
I would say you give him 3 years.
Okay.
Give him 3 years. I would say three. I mean, 4 is tough now. I mean, before you can try to give him 4 in 1 year was just sitting on a bench and learning how to be an NFL quarterback, and then you work him in. Now you throw him into that hot grease and say, either you're going to fry and make a great meal or you're going to burn that thing. So I say 3 years. I think that we got to keep it real. Your success, especially offensively, is going to be dependent upon the head coach you're going to and the offensive coordinator you're going to. If you're not going to a coordinator that's going to put you in position to be successful, now there are generational talents that can transcend some of those things, but if you are a decent player, competent player, your system is going to dictate some of this success. So we got to like really cut him some slack slightly because Chicago has never developed a quarterback. I jokingly was like, okay, I was hoping that he would be good at Chicago, but the probability was very low because they just haven't done it. And then it all falls into the narrative, Ohio State product, da-da-da-da-da. So he has not played well at the quarterback position from a passing standpoint. But at the same time, what am I going to expect from him when he's going to a system or he's going to coaches that haven't really developed or an organization that hasn't been known for developing quarterbacks? So at the same time, I'm like, okay, let's see what he does. I mean, they're running the ball more with them, which is okay, but we know that has a small window. Yeah,
a shelf life.
Limited shelf life, a small window of opportunity. I think Lamar Jackson is probably the only quarterback right now that's doing that, but even still, he's still throwing the ball really damn good. But he's just such an amazing athlete from a running standpoint that it's hard to just try to cage him into just being that traditional pocket passer. I mean, the Bears are a blue blood, and so
the original teams, I get that, but
but they definitely have what all went bad. This is what all went bad for the Bears of the last decade. They tried to get too cute and tried to be too smart, and they drafted Mitchell Trubisky. You knew shit was going to go downhill when he started calling himself Mitchell. You've been Mitch for 4 years. Just be Mitch. Go to the league, get this money, and play well. Don't be Mitchell and try to be Brandon. Da 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 da. It don't matter.
It
That's where
don't.
that's where they started to try to be too smart for their own good, and they've been trying to catch up to that pick ever since. So we'll see. We'll see what the Bears do. I mean, I'm hopeful that Fields does better next year, but the probability is low.
All right. That was
Hold
a
on, before you
very
get too deep, let me
interesting.
let me
Oh,
let me
I'm
ask you this
getting.
question.
I'm getting ready to launch.
I just want to ask you one question, and then I'll give you the rest of this time
I'm
to do what you need to do to your team.
Launch.
He brought up Lamar Jackson. All right. He brought up Lamar Jackson. Now, is Lamar actually hurt, or is this a power move about his contract?
Lamar Jackson ain't playing. I thought we had this discussion a month ago.
We did. I just want to make sure.
One of us did a give me a minute on it. It was either you or me. I don't remember. Me and Callie were just talking about this because obviously the joy of this game. Even though everything y'all just said combined for the last 7 minutes tried to take my joy, like all that other stuff that I'm gonna have to throw holes in everything both of y'all just said. That was some dumbass shit y'all just said. And you guys are way smarter than me. Everything you guys said was stupid. The Bears stuff, relevant. The college stuff, I got to go back and deal with that. Lamar Jackson, however, good for him if he says, nah, bitch, I'm cool. Because that's the point he's proven. How bad have you talk about backpedaling into the playoffs?
Oh yeah.
Do you know how excited Cincinnati is to beat the brakes off these dudes? That's who they're drawing.
Yeah.
They're drawing Cincinnati because I think they're the 6th seed.
Yeah, they play Cincinnati.
And the Chargers have got a chance because can Jacksonville, nut up and do what they need to do? Because I think Jacksonville, if you don't have Bosa and you don't have Mike Williams, Jacksonville's the better team on paper by pure coaching experience and what they've done all year. They've been in every game. Their
defense keeps them in every last game.
They're Detroit, but they got to play in a terrible division. Like if Detroit would have been in like the AFC South
or the
Detroit
NFC
would
South,
be in the play. Yeah, bingo. So if Detroit would have been in the NFC South, Detroit would be the 4th seed right now. So that's how I feel about that. And good for Lamar Jackson for saying, I already know what y'all gonna do. Cool. Like y'all gonna franchise me anyway. So I'm really if you franchise me, you saw what them 5 games look like.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, franchise me. Like he's basically saying, y'all gonna trade me or you gonna pay me because I'm not playing.
Tomorrow's price is not today's price.
That's a Shannon Sharp quotable, and I love it. It's the truth. What you think, Baze, about Lamar? Before I launch on both y'all.
Being dramatic. I think it's both.
Very.
He is not 100%. And I also think he wants his money. So he wants a long-term commitment, fully guaranteed.
Guaranteed.
And let's stop playing.
I'm good with that. You gave Deshaun Watson this money. You might as well. And Deshaun ain't played in a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's been well documented on shows, but I'll say it on ours. Between those two guys, who's won an MVP?
Lamar.
Not only that, who's won it unanimously? He unanimously won the MVP that year.
Flat out.
And rightfully so. So yeah, I'm with that. And like I said, it's going to be, when we all get a chance to kind of sit and break down these conferences, it's going to be really fun. Couple things to clean up, America. That whole commentary about where they started, where they finished quarterback college shit that they both just spewed was terrible. Because, Baze, you opened up Pandora's box. No, Jalen Hurts didn't become Jalen Hurts that could play in the NFL until Lincoln Riley got his hands on him. So don't use that. Tua is an Alabama quarterback. Jalen Hurts is an Oklahoma quarterback. The same with Joe Burrow. Yes, he spent 2 years where he had varsity playing time because he was a redshirt playing. But guess what? According to Ryan Day and Urban Meyer, he wasn't good enough to play.
Are we going to take the word of Urban Meyer now?
That's when he was there. Urban Meyer was there when he was there.
We going to take the word of a coach that like to kick kickers and rub bitches in the bar?
don't care about all that. Urban Meyer's put a lot of players in the league. What that got to do with what he's done?
He put a lot of murderers in the league too.
And hey, according to Barstool Sports, I mean, that's one guy that should get a redo.
I kind of agree with that, but that's a whole different topic.
Anyway, so
Who gets a redo?
They did a topic on Barstool Sports. You know, we'll eventually be on Barstool Sports, the three of us. They're going to pay us, but they did it. You could give any athlete a redo. Who would you do? And one guy goes, Aaron Hernandez. It stopped the whole segment. They were just
the whole show stopped. Like it
just stopped.
A redo at what?
At his career. And dude went Aaron Hernandez. He goes. They go, what? He's like, well, what? I mean, you asked me what athlete would like to see get a redo. I say Aaron Hernandez. I mean, and he made valid points. He was like, the dude like led them in touchdowns one year, and Rob Gronkowski was on the team at the same time. So he was thinking in the aspect of like, you know, I got his
Aaron Hernandez
but it was very Chappellian.
Aaron Hernandez was Jason Kelce before Jason Kelce.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce. Come on.
I mean, Jason, Travis.
Tell you guys
tight end
in a serious job. Boy, he can't keep
the tight end Kelce. So what? I messed up his name. I don't care about that man's name.
I know how busy you are. No, I'm defending you. 2 kids, family in town.
Baze is an administrator now. He doesn't care about the athlete anymore. He's an administrator. Fuck the athlete. Just bring the money.
So now that I got that
is a blatant lie. Blatant
now that
lie.
we got that out,
I care very much about my student athletes. Putting that on the record for the wax.
Yes,
I do not. That is very genuine.
I can put it to you this way: Jalen Hurts will go into the Oklahoma Hall of Fame. He ain't going into the Alabama Hall of Fame. No, Joe Burrow was going into the LSU Hall of Fame. He ain't going. He'll
go into the Alabama Hall of Fame as a team. So.
Oh yeah, part of the team. Yeah.
Yes, as a team. Come on.
And his name is on the capstone too. So his name is on the capstone.
Hey.
All right, get to your Bears. Get to your Bears because I can see us. Yeah, this will
go. These bad news Bears.
That's more like it. That was more the analysis I expected. Now, to piggyback off of some of the things Mike Bazemore said about Chicago not developing quarterbacks, that is a very true statement. However, what franchises in the history of the NFL have developed quarterbacks? So you got to be careful when you make arguments like that. In reality, there have only been maybe in the history of the NFL 5 teams off the top of my head that have developed guys. You can't count Miami because Dan Marino was a stud when he got there. They did not develop him.
Right. And you say his name right, Saint Daniel.
Sorry, Sir Constantine. So don't even do that. Philadelphia is one of those teams. Mm-hmm. That guy develops quarterbacks because guess what? He's done the same thing in Kansas City. That dude's won everywhere he's been a head coach. He's been in 2 spots, and he's had multiple Pro Bowl quarterbacks in those places. So that's basically one coach. And guess what system that coach comes from? There's really one coaching tree in the history of the entire league base that's ever developed quarterbacks, and that's Bill Walsh's system. You go look down the line. San Francisco has done it. Steve Young was not the Steve Young we all remember when he first came in the league. That dude was Josh Allen before Josh Allen. Okay? Steve Young was white Randall Cunningham before Randall Cunningham was in the league. You understand what I'm saying? So we got to be careful with that narrative. You're right. Chicago has never developed a quarterback. That's because Chicago has truly never drafted those type of guys. The closest we've come to doing that in our history has been Jim McMahon, because Jim McMahon was a Heisman finalist and a hell of a player, Brigham Young. Head injuries didn't work out for him. Cade McNown, who actually is one of the greatest college football quarterbacks of this era, unfortunately, that did not translate. That's basically been it. I'll give you Orton and Rex Grossman. Those guys were great college players too.
No argument.
But you got to be careful with the development thing. That's just that. Now, in regards to Justin Fields, I want to say this. I said this offline. I think the guy had a hell of a statistical season for what he did. He actually made people pay attention to a team that is absolutely garbage. Absolutely garbage. And he deserves the credit for that. The things that he did this year, phenomenal. I will not take away a quarterback. I don't care. If you run for 1,000 yards in the NFL as a quarterback, that's only been done a few times. That's not something that's like, oh, yeah, he ran for 1,000, whatever. I'm not yawning at that. But what I am yawning at is the fact that when you put up those type of numbers, you go look at the guys that have done that in the history of this league and what their teams have done. Every single one of those teams, maybe except for the Atlanta Falcons that year, and I'd have to double check that, went to the playoffs. That's my issue, which means Lamar Jackson was able to throw just enough. Matter of fact, I think Lamar Jackson was the MVP when he set the record. That's why he was unanimous, because I think he had the 1,200 yards rushing, but he also threw for 3,500 and 33 touchdowns and like 3 interceptions. It was dumb, the numbers he put up. You know, you look at Cam Newton's season that he had. He didn't get to 1,000, but he had about 800 yards rushing to go with those 3,600 yards passing and 45 touchdowns. One of the best NFL quarterback seasons of all time. That's my issue with Justin Fields. That's the point I've been making. I will say this about Ohio State. I have to go back to the college stuff. You're right. Ohio State also has a history. They have never been very good. Their quarterbacks have never translated to the league. But I think we've seen the guy that can do that. And I think he played in the game and his kicker ruined it for him. I think you're seeing the guy that's finally going to break that mold. Because what he did in that game, the little bit I was able to see, I saw him do something that I haven't seen any other quarterback for them in the last 20, 30 years do. Use his feet to get somebody open. Not use his feet to save the day. So that's on that. Now, in regards to what the Bears should do, this is really what Chris Turner's been waiting for. And really why we're talking about them. This is the only time they're going to be relevant. Anyway, that's why we're talking about them now, America. The Bears will not be relevant as of the end of today. We're on to the playoffs. We've all moved on. I got to put this stuff back in the closet, put some mothballs around it, until the draft, right? That's when we'll start to care again. So let me go ahead and lay out what General Manager James Walton would do in the situation you're in. Once again, we stress 1947 America, and my 2 stud defensive linemen down there, is the last time the Bears have even been in this position to have this type of power. There's nothing like mediocrity leading you to power. It does not happen too often, but you have power. There are multiple teams that are looking at these 2 young men that are coming out of their schools, as well as Caleb Williams as well, and going, we need one of those guys. And considering that we can't ever seem to draft the right guy, we passed on Bill Cosby and we passed on light-skinned Jesus. So, here we are. The Bears should do this. Trade Justin Fields for a first-round draft pick next year, get some capital into the draft this year. Because there's teams, this is the hottest he's ever going to be. I want to go on record and say, I hope that I am wrong about this kid. I've always said that on this show. I hope I'm wrong. But he cannot be any hotter than what he is. He almost broke an unbreakable record. And the only reason why he didn't break it is because they didn't play him. He would have broken that record.
Can you repeat what you
The
want to happen
only
again?
reason he didn't break that record, and I'm upset for him for that, because they didn't play him. He wanted to play. This is the hottest he is going to be. You sell hot. We learned this in economics. When it's hot, get your ass off it. This is the hottest he will ever be. He will never be this relevant again because they're not going to allow him to run like this again because of how much he's been banged up. We've seen it with Lamar Jackson. We've seen it with Josh Allen. We've seen it happen with these guys, which I want to get to your point about the 3-year thing. I agree with that, but you got to think about the guys having. So you sell him, you get a first-round pick next year, and you get some capital, maybe, second rounder, third rounder, fourth rounder. build some stock this year. Go with the Roquan Smith second-round overall pick that you already picked up. The Robert Quinn fourth-round pick you already picked up. Plus, we finally have all of our fucking picks. Okay? Now, you have the number 1 pick. I love Bryce Love. I do. I think that kid's going to be a good, like, pro bowler. Like, he's going to have a long career. Caleb Williams is exciting. Lincoln Riley has proven if you come play for me, I can get you paid in the league. But there's something about C.J. Stroud that, and I hate Ohio State. Not like I hate Green Bay and the Cardinals, but I hate Ohio State. Only guy that probably hates Ohio State more than me is Mike Bazemore. Okay? I know how much Bazemore hates Ohio State. Okay? As well as Jamie Sparling. I know how much she hates. Shout out, Jamie. Okay? Now,
it's a family hate dynamic.
As it is, okay? I think Max and Major both say Ohio State can suck it. I just think they do. But C.J. Stroud, to me, is intriguing. And this is the reason why. Now, listen how I'm setting this up. This is a dream scenario. Only somebody as crazy as me or the GM of the Cincinnati Bengals or Howie Roseman could think this through and realize this is exactly what we need to do. You draft C.J. Stroud this year, and you go, CJ, we're going to try to do as much as we can to protect you. You got a good running game behind you. You got a 2-headed monster that can run the football. We'll try to put you in situations. We'll try to get you maybe a guy in free agency. Maybe that trade of Justin Fields will lead to bringing a big receiver back. Devontae Adams. We can do some things. And then, that first-round pick that you got in that draft for next year, who do you go draft and you make sure you get? Marvin Harrison Jr. And you follow the blueprint that has worked for young quarterbacks in this league. You give them somebody that they know and knows them. We've seen what it's done for Joe Burrow. That first year, yeah, he took his lumps. It's an injury that nobody wanted him to have. I know we were all sick for him that he got hurt. And they asked him, do you want us to go get you more help? And he said, no, go get me number 1. We can get the help later. Go get him.
Get my guy.
I've been talking to him. And they went and got his guy. And they went to the Super Bowl. And look where they're at now. He had his appendix out. That's why he was struggling. He wasn't himself. Once he got to full health, what have they been, 11-2 over the last 13 games?
Something ridiculous, yeah.
And then you go look at Bays' team, who, to his credit, he's like, I'm not even going to say nothing. He's got a recent Super Bowl win. That's why he ain't so excited about Philly. He's like, I expect him to go to – that's why he ain't saying shit. That's why he got Michigan State green on, not Philly green. Look what Philadelphia did. So they gave the keys to Jalen Hurts before this season that he had last year. What did they do? They went and got his guy. And then they figured out that the way that he was being coached, to you guys, yes, coaching has an impact. And Sirianni tried to do it one way, and it didn't quite work. They said, you know what? Let's blend you. Let's blend what works in this league. But we've given you a guy. A.J. Brown was A.J. Brown before he got there. A.J. Brown has not needed anybody to be a star. We saw that. Anybody that knew what was going on in Mississippi. I love DK Metcalf. I think he's a stud. Everybody knew A.J. Brown was the better wide receiver.
That's a fact.
If you know football, you knew that. But what he and Devontae Smith were starting to get on that back end, that connection they were having, is why Philadelphia had the best record in the league. Because him and the number 2, or on some days, because Devontae can go inside, outside, just like AJ can. That's what you do. So if I'm the Bears, that's what I'm doing. Justin Fields does not have what I see C.J. Stroud has. C.J. Stroud has quarterback feet. He has the ability to run and be athletic. He has a great arm. He has played well in the biggest games.
Yeah.
To me, to where I saw a guy fold against a team that plays more traditional NFL-style defense, Justin Fields. I'm never going to let go of that Northwestern game. I remember calling Chris going, I can't believe we didn't beat these guys. The fact we didn't beat them, Justin Fields gave us the Big Ten championship that year.
Yeah.
That was the one I needed to never care about college football ever again in my life. And that guy's playing quarterback for my team. CJ Stroud's different to me. But I'll be the first guy to go, here, look at me having faith in Ohio State guy. But that's what I do. I will recap because I've been long-winded. I know these guys want to jump in and tear that to shreds, especially Bates.
I'm waiting to tear it to
Once
shreds.
again, America.
It's so contradictory, and I'll make a point, but go ahead.
You trade Justin Fields, get a player back, get a first-round pick back. You draft CJ Stroud because, to me, I think he's better equipped for the NFL game. If I was drafting somebody to play college football, I'd draft Justin Fields with the first overall pick. I'm drafting CJ Stroud to play NFL quarterback. And then you sit on it, you do what you do, you try to be competitive, protect him as much as you can, and then you go get Marvin Harrison Jr. because we have all seen he's one of those few guys to have a Hall of Fame daddy, and he seems to have the trajectory because it doesn't happen all the time. But he's got to, listen, it ain't the Georgia from last year, but it's still Georgia.
It's still Georgia.
It's the new Alabama. So that's the standard. They've been the number one defense for the last 2 years. So go ahead, Baze. Try to shred that up that I want you to because it's high, it won't happen. It's what I would do.
Well, one, you're speaking as if Chicago is going to be in a position to draft Marvin Harrison Jr. He's going top 3. So unless you plan on being terrible next year, then yes, that will be a possibility. But the probability of you getting a Marvin Harrison Jr. is low because of how high he's going to be drafted. And I don't know if you're going to be that. I don't think you're going to be that bad next year to be in a top 3 scenario. Go ahead.
That's why you trade for the draft pick next year. You'll have 2 first-rounders. You can trade for wherever he's supposed to go, and you go get him.
So what teams are you trading?
You're looking at a terrible team. So you're looking at the Texans
because if you trade with the team that does well, correct me if I'm wrong, that pick is dependent upon the team that you get it from, right? So the team that's terrible, it's higher. If they do better, it's a lower end of draft board list.
Right.
Yeah, so that's two. You can't control that. What you can control is this. I do propose a trade. You trade the pick, trade back, okay? Get you a bona fide offensive lineman, okay? And you want to bring in a receiver that is familiar with the quarterback or vice versa. You'll go get Jackson, Jib Smith, whatever the kid from Ohio State that was their best receiver last year that's been hurt this year because he's on the board this year. He played with Justin Fields. Why would you want to bring in another quarterback, put him in the same predicament as Justin Fields?
Because he's better.
Even though he's a better pocket passer now, he's a pocket passer that has QB feet, but with no line like Justin Fields.
And he's still smaller.
So what are we doing with that? He doesn't have an offensive line. So what are we doing with that? I'm confused.
We protect him. We protect him.
You don't have how? Go get who you getting?
The same thing that Detroit has done to Jared Goff. You know how you protect him? You know what's missing in all this? And everybody to realize you can't be the leading rushing offense in the league by your motherfucking self. There's a reason why they're number 1 rushing team in the league because they got 2 not capable but stud running backs that do not touch the ball enough. That's how you protect young quarterbacks. You hand the ball off.
So you need a new coach or a new coordinator. You got a lot of moving pieces in what you need.
The coach has nothing to do with that. Let's go back to Mitchell Trubisky.
What do you mean? He is the one that's allowing this offense coordinator to call these bum plays. So either
it's the bum plays. Is it the bum plays, or is it the inability of the quarterback to be able to execute and make the throws?
It's honestly a bit of both because if you look at it, there's certain times where he didn't go through his read progressions, and then there was other times where it was just a bullshit ass play, and the kid broke out the pocket and made something happen. So it does go hand in hand.
You know what? I wish you two as defensive linemen were actually Bears fans. Because if you guys got to watch the third downs that I got to watch. Now, mind you, there were times dude was sensational. Like, I'm not trying to take away from the good he did because he did some good things. We had opportunities to win games because of him. I will not ever take that away. But this is a truthful assessment. I am always truthful on this show. I'm objective. It may come off as biased, but it's coming from the lens of these eyes. You guys have known me since 2009. I have always been truthful and fair in any and everything I do. And this is the truth. Bays, how that works is you're right. I'm hoping for them to be bad. It makes it easy. But when you have 2 first-round picks because you've traded it, you have your first-round pick from wherever you finished the year before, and you have the pick of wherever that team finished before. You're able to package those 2 picks, and wherever Marvin Harrison Jr. is projected to go, you're able to go, we're trading into the spot to get him, or we will give you these picks back, or we will pick a player. It happens all the time in sports. We've seen it happen in football. Okay, what guy do you want? We'll go get him. You go get this guy. We saw it happen. That's how you guys got Jalen Waddle. That's how that happened. I've seen it happen. The Minnesota Vikings didn't even take a pick because they were like, well, you know what? Maybe we just don't want to pay Mount McKinney this much money. And didn't pick him in that spot. They picked him a spot later and paid him less. Oh, I didn't come at you with bullshit, Bays. You're too smart.
Oh, no, you good.
I have
all we're saying there's a lot of moving pieces.
There's so many moving pieces that are not in your control with that scenario. Whereas with the scenario of trading back this year, you could probably finagle and get you a solid young offensive lineman. And you can get that injured receiver and still build around. If you want a quarterback like CJ Stroud, what am I betting on?
You're betting that he is Jalen Hurts and he is Josh Allen and he is Lamar Jackson. That's the problem.
Hold on. Hold on. Time out. No, I'm not.
You're betting that Justin Fields is those guys.
No, I'm not. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you are going to need pieces with whoever you put at that quarterback position. So get you a bona fide offensive lineman. Get you a dog receiver. If he flames out, you still got those foundational pieces in place. An offensive lineman and a receiver that can go get you buckets. So if he flames out, okay, cool. It's going to be other dog quarterbacks that's going to come through this pipeline that we're going to all, fan over and say, oh, he's the next guy. It's not like there's not going to be another next guy that's going to be competent and capable. So, okay, how about you start putting the pieces in place that gives you the opportunity to say, you know what, okay, he flamed out, hey, young man. It was fun while it lasted. We got to get another quarterback. But you already got things in place that's going to make that quarterback coming in that's young look good and play good. That's what I'm saying. I don't care where Justin Fields, I would love for him to pan out, but I don't really have a dog in the fight. I want 3 years to say, okay, he's good. No, I said I want it now.
I don't think he's earned a third year. I don't. Because to me, the steps that I saw Josh Allen take in year 2, the steps that I've seen Jalen Hurts take from year 2 to year 3, the steps Lamar Jackson took in his second year, his first full years are. Justin Fields has essentially been brought in the same way Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Jalen Hurts has. The same way. Middle of the season, teams were not constructed really around him. Those guys on their athleticism had to figure it out. I told you guys.
So hold on. Name those names again.
Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson. The point I'm trying to make to you is
Lamar's
here's the difference. Here's the difference, guys. Hold on. Here's the difference. And this is what I'm telling you. And this has been my issue with him because it's not this. He has this as good as anybody. His accuracy is not there. It's not this. I think he has this because he does get up and fight. It's not as big as Lamar's. It's definitely not as big as Jalen's. It's not as big as Josh, but he has this. This is where he lacks. And I have seen his development when he's had 16 games compared to when Jalen Hurts has had 16 games, compared to when Lamar Jackson has had 16 games, compared to when Josh Allen has had 16 games. And I have seen those guys, yes, not be the best statistically, but what all three of those guys have the ability to do when they got their first 16 games with all that talent with their bodies. They won football games, Bays. That's the difference. That's what I've been harping on. It has nothing to do with his physical gifts. That dude is as gifted physically as any player in the league at any position. But I keep trying to tell you this because all you did was knock the sense out of quarterbacks your entire life. He's starting to come on board. He understands what I've been saying. And that's why he's not jumping on me the way you're jumping on me. And you're not jumping on me. You just like to fuck with me. I love it.
So hold on. With all that being said, let me give a special shout out to
true.
Big Dre. Dre's over in Germany right now.
Oh, is Dre on? I ain't been looking. Me and Bays been having a
Dre's in Germany right now. So big shout out
what
to
up,
Dre. Michelle, lovely. We appreciate you for tuning in to the show. Zach Trop, and then it was another guy. I forgot his name just that quick, but he was a big time Dolphins fan. So thank you guys for tuning in. But with that, I'm gonna make a very smooth transition and get to the Bamaless College Football Championship tomorrow night.
Bays, we got so much more to talk about. He cut us off. We weren't done.
I had to. I had to. We got to give this championship a little bit of time. Even though I'm not even gonna go about that route. Got to give championship a little bit of time. It's the TCU Horned Frogs and versus the Georgia Bulldogs. Now, I want to go on and say this. I have been playing NCAA football since I was like a freshman in high school, I want to say. So that's like 98, 99. Every time I've played the college football in that dynasty mode, TCU always ended up ranked in like the top 10 towards the end of the season. And that was even when I got to college, like TCU was always good because they always had like a top 5 receiver. Like everything that they're doing now, it was being done on college football years ago. Maybe that was just the addition of the game that I got. Maybe that was the fact that I had myself at quarterback at Florida State. Maybe it was the fact that I had myself at running back at Alabama. I don't know. But their trajectory of TCU on the college football video game has always been trending upwards. Now, fast forward umpteen years later, they're now in the college football playoffs, which makes me also say I can't wait for college football to come back on the PlayStation 5. All that being said, Horned Frogs, Bulldogs. The Dogs are a 12-point, 13-point favorite. We'll start off like this. Do they cover the spread? Does Georgia cover the spread? We'll go about it like that.
Does Georgia cover the spread?
So 2 touchdowns, essentially.
If I were to be a betting man,
which Walt you are, so I want you to think. You're the you're the gambling addict on this show.
Yeah, one I can't bet because of my job. I'll say this. I'll say this because I've actually watched several TCU games. The one against Kansas, the first one against Kansas State, and another one too. So when I watch them play, that team, like I knew whoever they played in the football playoff was going to have a tough ass out. I didn't think that TCU would beat if they were going to play Georgia or Indiana playing Michigan. I was like, all right, that's one of them teams you play that. You mess around, you go out there, bring your lunch bell because they come in hard nosed and they have enough firepower to match you as they match Michigan. That's not what they really want to do per se, but they can do it. They can do it. I think probability says Georgia's going to beat them by at least 2 touchdowns. Especially their running back is injured. He's a little hobbled, so I don't know if he's going to play.
Right.
But at the same time, man, there's something to be said for a team that just won't die.
They got nothing to. They literally have nothing to lose.
And you let this team that won't die lay around long enough, and then the weird things start happening where you start blowing 2-man or you in man, and you mess around thinking you covering somebody that's not that good, and mess around, hit you with a nice little double move, and then duck and throw a nice pinpoint pass, and you out here looking, with the sad face. You know what I mean? It's like the weird things start happening in that football field, and that energy. And so if Georgia comes out and don't play and just, smash them from the jump, TCU does not have enough to come back from that. But if they going, punching back and forth, they mess around and lose that game. They're gonna call it one of the biggest upsets in college football history. But if you watch TCU, you wouldn't be surprised if they beat Georgia.
Exactly. Now, Walt, let me give you, because you're the gambler of the show, you're the addict of the show. Let me give you all the intangibles that you need to know to make this bet in Vegas. All right. They're playing in California, correct?
Yeah, I think they're in SoFi.
Yeah, they're in SoFi. All right. Georgia does not travel well as a fan base. All right. Secondly, Keely Ringo will probably be the first cornerback taken in the NFL draft, but he's also the most penalized cornerback in the league for the last 2 years. So with him, it's high risk, high reward. All right. TCU, your starting running back is hurt, hobbled. It is what it is. Going back to Georgia, I don't know if I want to call him your backup tight end, because the way Georgia plays with their tight ends with Leonard Washington and what's the other kid's name? The really good one.
Wait a minute. Is that big dude's name really Leonard Washington?
I think it's Darnell Washington.
Because if it was Leonard Washington and he's from a town called none of your goddamn business, I can't wait for that dude to get in the league. If his name was Leonard Washington, he better do that intros on that football.
I think it's none of your goddamn business. But the way the two tight ends work for Georgia, the bigger tight end is a little banged up right now, and he was in the air cast towards the end of the game, and he's working his way back. All right. You got a bunch of guys on this Georgia team that we've all admitted this isn't the Georgia team of last year.
No.
But you got a bunch of guys on this Georgia team that are kind of peeking at that draft like, I know this championship will help me, but at the same time, my money's on the line too. You got that. You got two old-ass quarterbacks playing against each other. Old as far as college football goes.
Yeah.
All right. You now have the ACC crew reffing this game. I'm trying to give you everything you need to make a credible bet. Now, with all that being said, all the information that you now have at your disposal, Georgia is a 12.8 favorite for this game. Who you got? Do they cover?
That is a great question. I want to see if you guys can hear this.
Yes, we can hear that, you alcoholic.
Sorry, America. I got real thirsty during the Justin Fields stuff. But I've calmed down. So I love you, Baze. Now, I come from the gambit of, very simply, Baze knows this, because of how bad Northwestern's been. I have clearly watched no college football all year. The only college football I have watched were 2 Alabama games. In both these games, ironically, I had some time to watch it. Go crazy. Baze's assessment of TCU is so accurate, I don't have to even talk anymore about it.
No.
That's the only time I've seen him play all year. And every time I looked up, I was like, Jim Harbaugh's going to get his shot. He'll get his shot. They kept saying, no. You gave us this lead, and we are not going to give it back to you.
At all.
I don't care how many interceptions Max Duggan throws. You're not getting it back. We will take it, and they took it right back. And the worst part about it is, I don't know if I should say forgive me a minute, but I mean, if you're McNamara, like, how do you feel about watching your dad try to put his finger in your girl's butt? Like, that's just terrible. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it and get that out the way right now. You see that video, Bays?
What'd you say? I didn't. What'd you say?
The dad's quarterback touched his fiance's butt on national television and caught it and blew him up and made him a meme.
Hold on, repeat that. You said what?
Oh, you need to look up McNamara's dad touches fiance's butt. Quarterback for Michigan's quarterback's dad was trying to fill up his girlfriend on motherfucking television.
Yeah.
You got to see it.
Whoa.
It will Michigan State make you happy that not only did
White people are weird.
Not only did Michigan State, not only did Michigan lose, but the star of the team got embarrassed from national team. It's a bad look for the Chicago suburbs.
It's a real bad look.
It was not a good look. Now, I will say this. I would take the points because of what I saw TCU do, because I've seen some videos that I don't know are like football worthy, but they are training different than any team I've ever seen during a season. Like, these guys are like, they do, like, their practices are like off-season conditioning and like their speed drills and stuff. Like, that's how they're beating guys. And it seems to me that, yeah, their star running back's hurt, but that guy came in and did a really good job.
He's a senior, so he's playing for a draft spot.
Didn't seem to bother him that he hadn't played a snap all year. He was like, oh, it's my time. This is why I stayed here. They got a big old 6'5" wide receiver that makes plays all over the field.
Can go.
They seem to have some speedy guys. And you talking about corners, Chris. I get the Ringo guy, but I heard that the best corner on the field plays for TCU.
Number 2. Yeah, number 2. I can't think of his name, but it's number 2.
They said that's the best tandem in the league. So
I agree. I don't disagree.
If I'm a betting man, I'll take my chances getting 13 points. But I think we're all the consensus that, you know, you're talking about a guy in Stetson Bennett who probably, from what I saw, wasn't his best game, and they survived. This is his chance to enter that upper echelon of college football great players. This is like Tim Tebow territory, Matt Leinart territory. Not a lot of guys in this air. You win 2. And then not only that, to be the first team to go back-to-back in this era. Yeah, you guys have never done it.
On the CFP, okay.
Yeah. Now, you guys have done it, you know, in history. It's been done, but in this era where it's had a little bit more, you know, reality to it, where it hasn't been voters paid off. The same voters, for some reason, Alabama's been, you know, winning these recruiting wars, but it doesn't seem like they are if TCU's in the championship. So take that.
We got the number 1 class this year.
Didn't you have it last year? Anyway, the point is,
no, we had 3. We had number 3 last year. But go ahead.
Oh, that's why you guys lost 2 games. Anyway,
exactly.
I'll take my shots at Alabama later, but I think we're all in agreement. I think there's just something really special about this kid that has been smart enough to play the system and play till he's 26 and get every penny out of it. You know what? You can't not root for Stetson Bennett. I mean, this dude went on the Today Show last year after the game. That dude was drunk and high out of his mind.
Oh my God.
That dude, they didn't get this dude no eye drops. He didn't have no Vicine, baby.
Nothing.
Just like, hey, feels great, baby.
That boy was fresh off a 30-pack. Like, he was fresh off a 30-pack.
But he's not as pretty as Jimmy Garoppolo, so just came off like, oh, so irresponsible. For a doctorate candidate at the University of Georgia, because he's been there for 19 years. Listen, I think we're going to be thoroughly entertained. And I'm going to say this, because I still don't know what my give me minute's going to be, but I'm going to go ahead and say this, and I know Chris will disagree. Bays might be indifferent on this. If TCU pulls this off, this is the best thing that's happened. College football it's now become truly the great entity that it needs to be. Because now we really believe it. Cincinnati getting in last year was huge. That was a big step for doing the right thing.
Breaks off the ass.
If TCU pulls this off and wins, the best thing could ever happen. That means that the NIL deals are truly working the way they should, because you're giving everybody a fair chance to win this thing. And I love that for college football. Like it does.
So I'll say this, and then I'll pretty much go straight to my damn. Give me a minute. First of all, fuck you. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I'll say this. It's hard to say the NIL thing when TCU is still in Texas, because let's be honest, a lot of the money for these NIL deals is still in Texas. Let's just call a spade a spade. I get it, it's TCU, but that's still Texas. So
you mean Austin?
Austin,
Yes, Austin.
A lot of that money is still in Texas. So it is what it is with that. If TCU pulls this out, which I will make it. No, I don't think. I think they're going to get beat by 3 touchdowns. But if TCU pulls this out, I think Georgia regresses to a state where, yeah, they'll still win the East, but I think like that shadow, that doubt will just continuously be there for an entire recruiting class or two. Because then you're the one that gave it up to the little guy. Like you now becoming that meme of the Falcons. Like you blew the game. Like you were supposed to, like, dude, you're Georgia. You're supposed to win. That's who you turn into. Like you're supposed to beat them. So I think it affects
Matt Ryan memes. Like, stop it. You were so mad.
If Georgia loses, it affects two classes.
Baze, he mad as hell.
I'm not. I know. No, Georgia deserves to be there. And at no point in
made
time,
them Matt Ryan. Ain't that a bitch?
At no point in time did I feel like Alabama should have been in the playoffs, because we lost 2 games, regardless if it was by a total of 5 or 6 points, whatever. We lost 2 games. We shouldn't have been in. But we did end up winning the Big 12 championship, so it's fine. But at the end of the day,
you didn't.
We did. If we beat the Big 12 champions, technically, and if TCU wins, technically we're still national champions. Anyway, all right.
The Big 12 champions are playing.
Well, then give UCF a championship. Give UCF a championship too. If we're going by your logic. If we're going by your logic.
TCU lost the Big 12 championship to Kansas State. We beat Kansas State and we beat Texas. We're the Big 12 champs. Anyway.
UCF.
We're getting a Golden Knights chant?
Oh, yeah.
Anyway. If Georgia loses, I think it hurts them a lot more than TCU loses, because TCU, let's be honest, call a spade. Your ass not supposed to be here in the first place, but you're doing great things for college football because you have won the games you're supposed to win, regardless of how you won them. You won them. Georgia, you have everything to lose. You're supposed to be here. You are the new Alabama. You're supposed to stomp a mud hole in teams like this to set the example that I'm not even with the SEC, the bias of just it means more, but this is what you're supposed to do. Like, you get in games like this and you're supposed to show your dominance. And if you don't, then a magnifying glass goes on coaching, recruiting, and preparation. So with all that being said, Georgia's still by 3 touchdowns.
So it all comes back to Alabama at the end of the day. Like, you just need to make sure the SEC is still what it is. So
it just means more, dude. Like, it just means more.
Yeah, don't lose a championship to the Big 12 in the 2020s.
Listen,
black kids might start going to the Midwest again.
Hey, with all that being said,
hey, first of all, before you go, how bad is Nebraska? How far has Nebraska fallen? They switched conferences thinking that was going to be dope. They should have stayed their ass in the Big 12. They have been ruined. That should have been my give me a minute, and I should have chugged a beer. All right, Chris.
Well, no, they should not have stayed in the Big 12. They've gotten a lot of money to be in the bottom of the barrel of the Big Ten because you got to remember that revenue sharing is better in the Big Ten. That's why UCLA and USC is now going to the Big Ten. That Big Ten money is pretty nice. So even though
the new power conference, baby.
Even though Nebraska has not been worth a damn in football, they're still getting some money. Right. So more money than they probably would have got. Definitely more money than they would have got if they stayed in the Big 12.
USC coming to the Big Ten? What?
That's a whole other conversation because I want to know how they're going to split that up. Like, I'm really interested in seeing
what. Well,
like if that's going to be pod play. I don't know. It's going to be pod play or conference or divisions.
I think Northwestern will end up going to the East, which is not good for Northwestern football. So that's
they'll move
the arrest them
probably what
Northwestern Illinois
and
Illinois.
Purdue,
Northwestern,
Illinois.
No, they'll probably move. They'll probably
Purdue,
move
Indiana.
Yeah, well, one of those. Yeah,
how many teams?
Purdue, Indiana. Right now, you got UCLA and USC, so we're still even. We're like that'll put us at 16 now.
Yeah, so they'll move. Purdue and Indiana should go over because they're the furthest east, so they'll keep Illinois and Northwestern west.
Hey, real quick before I get into give me a minute, Walt, I'm not even making a joke. Is Northwestern versus Illinois a rivalry game?
Yeah, it actually is, and we got stomped for the first time in a long time. They beat the brakes off us.
All right, I wasn't sure. Like I wouldn't make a joke. I just legitimately want to know.
Let's just say that I'm just glad that North Carolina and the Bulls have been winning games lately. I've already moved on. It's been a rough fall. It's been a rough fall, guys.
Alabama is now a basketball school, by the way. We have knocked off several number one teams and beat the shit out of Kentucky.
Beat the brakes off Kentucky. Shout out Alabama for beating the brakes off. That's what I root for Alabama is during basketball season. Can't stand them during football season, but
we're a top 5 team. We're ranked higher.
Yeah.
Did you say gymnastics? Girls
softball? Hey, with you all day.
We just won the Natty and girls softball. We're pretty good. I'm just going, gymnastics, we're always top 5. We're a basketball school now. Let's call it spade to spade. Anyway.
Coach Nate Oates.
With all that being said, let's get into the Tony Award-winning segment of What's Good America entitled, Give Me a Minute. I'm going to go first.
Got his own. Oh, he's got his own.
I got my own. So, America, as I take this swig of Jack Daniel's Winter Jack Tennessee Cider.
That's just delicious.
It's so good. Give me a minute. Jacksonville, Florida. I love you to death. I got you tatted on my heart, tatted several places on my body. I'm Duval till I die. But what I need you to realize is that the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm mainly speaking to my friends, not my little cousins, because I understand that, but the people who were born, let's call it 81 and after. Don't act brand new. All right. I get it. You're a Jaguars fan now. The Jaguars came in 95. All right. Who the fuck are you to ask me why am I not a Jaguars fan? When the Jaguars showed up in 95, I was 11. All right. During the heyday of Daniel Constantine Marino. St. Daniel. You fuckers had Mark Brunell and Steve Berline. There was no comparison. Berline, whatever. There's no comparison. Much respect to Freddie T. I love Fred Taylor. Rashawn Mathis, Leon Searcy, Tony Baselli. There's always been players on the Jaguars team that I've liked. But y'all were trash. Let's call it spade a spade. I'm not switching from my AFC dominant team of the Dolphins at that time to go to an expansion team. Not happening. I stuck with my team. Now, to be honest, most of y'all were Cowboys fans. y'all were 49ers fans, and there was a very rare, like small patch, super small patch, but a lot of y'all were Saints fans too. And then the further down Florida you went, like you were all Dolphins fans. I stuck with my team. All right. Granted, we had some good years, we had some bad years, whatever. Now, you fuckers really started getting good until what you call it said, hey, we're gonna win that bitch. And you got blown out by the Patriots. Don't act brand new. You won the AFC South. Congratulations. You deserved it. You won a trash conference. You get a gold star. You get an I for you get a C for completing. That's it. You won by attrition. Let's call it really what it is. You survived long enough. You and the Bucks are in the same category. Like you won a trash conference because you were around the longest. Don't you dare ask me, hey, you need to switch over to the Jaguars because we winning now and blah, blah, blah. You fuckers had the same records we did, and we were third in the conference, in the division. But your trash record gets you your whole old division. Anyway.
And a home playoff game.
And a home playoff game, which I hope. Listen, if somehow, some way, we end up playing Jacksonville, if the luck of the draw, the luck of the Irish, whatever it is, somehow works out, I will max out any credit card I have. I will be on the 50-yard line. I will be shit-faced drunk in a Daniel Constantine Marino jersey at that game. All right? But all that being said, Jaguars, I'm a fan of the Dolphins because I was born in '84 and I had my team picked already. I wish you guys nothing but moderate success. I hope you never sniff a Super Bowl. I hope you never get close to an AFC championship. Enjoy your mediocrity. Enjoy your time in the sun, and always remember that stadium is put on the east side, which is the worst side of town in Jacksonville. America, that's been my minute.
The Jaguars have some years with Freddie T, Garrard, Brunell, Keenan McCardle. They had a couple years that they were in the playoffs.
Round exit.
Hey, Bays, they've been
first round exit.
Since their existence, they've been to more AFC championships than the Dolphins.
Hey, we got a perfect season.
Yeah, that's why I was like, hold on now.
They
like
actually have
the
Dolphins.
The Jags have been fairly competent since they started. Like they had They had a really good expansion draft, and then they drafted well. They actually built credible teams.
They beat Denver to get to the AFC Championship one year, and then Denver got so pissed they won 2 in a row. I just love that he said, "I wish you nothing but moderate success
and mediocrity."
Hey, you guys, I don't think the Dolphins have been to the AFC Championship since
for a while, dude. Yeah, it's been a minute.
There's been a lot of one and dones.
Yeah. Which I'm happy with right now. I'm not even gonna lie.
I think the Jets have more AFC appearances.
Yeah, those Rex Ryan years was pretty good to them.
Yeah, they just couldn't get it done. It's all good, man. I loved it though. I mean, shout out Duval County, man. Always, man. The family was at that game, and they've been converted to the Jaguar way. And all I got to say to you, Chris, is they got Trevor Lawrence and you got an Alabama quarterback. So there you go.
We got a Hawaiian quarterback. That's what we got.
He's Bama all the way through. Baconator, please. I know you've got some thoughts.
Let's see. Let's see. Where can I take this? I got one that's completely coming out of left field.
Do you need a sip? Or you good?
No, I'm good. I'm good. America.
All right.
Give me a minute. Did you realize LeBron James is like 442 points away from tying Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's scoring record? Now, I knew he was close. I knew he was aiming to get this goal. or break this record. But I didn't know that he was this close. I was like, I'm kind of surprised. And so I want to give a shout out to LeBron James because he's going to break this record this season. And I know there's going to be a lot of the LeBron James stands that are going to say that he's better than Michael Jordan. Quite frankly, I don't care what you think. Quite frankly, quite frankly, it doesn't matter that he has more points than Michael Jordan. Because like I told my friend through text, and he had made the comparison between Joel Embiid and Tim Duncan and saying that Joel Embiid is a better scorer than Tim Duncan, which, yes, he can do more things offensively, but Tim Duncan is a Hall of Fame basketball player. And so with his basic moves, he cooked a lot of people. Okay. LeBron James is not your traditional scorer, but he put the ball in the basket. So everybody that says he didn't have moves, he had enough moves to score all of them. Yeah. So shout out to LeBron James because it don't matter how you score. It matters that you do score. Okay. And hopefully those points will lend you to success from a team standpoint, which he has had a lot of success with his teams, but he hasn't been able to get over the hump when it comes to winning championships at a level that should be what he should be able to do because he is one of the greatest players of all time. So shout out to LeBron James.
Shout out to LeBron.
His upcoming record-breaking accomplishments. America, that's been my minute.
I like that. Shout out to LeBron, though, for real. I've always been a fan, except for those 4 years in Miami. I couldn't stand it, but that's well documented on the show. Hey, he chose 80 degrees and all sorts of ambiguous women over the streets and the toughness of Chicago for 4 years. Yeah, I'm gonna be.
He chose 80 degrees over at that time the murder capital of the United States.
I thought it was Orlando.
No, Orlando became that later. During that time.
Didn't Jacksonville used to be the murder capital of the world for some time?
We had it 2 years running. Duval County.
I'm just saying. But shout out to LeBron.
Oh, shut up, Baze. Philly ain't that much better. So let's say, well, easy. All right.
I am not glorifying that. Nor am I proud of that. That is not a good stat to have. So that's why I'm shaking my head.
Hey, America, what happens when you get three dudes that have been a part of Myrtle Capital Cities together on the podcast?
They move. That's what happens. They move to the suburbs.
No, shout out LeBron, man. LeBron is it's amazing what he's doing. I like that, Baze. And I think I've got the perfect way to conclude this. So, America, indulge me. Acknowledge me.
Nice.
Because I'm about to get real oozy up this bitch. America, give me a minute. Dear Green Bay Packers fans.
Oh, God.
You thought I was going to continue on my Justin Fields tirade. I don't have to continue on anything that I've been right about. And since I've laid out a crazy prediction for how I would do things, I would like anybody that's listened to the show to get me into the personnel department of the Chicago Bears. So I'm not worried about that. But I will talk to you, Green Bay Packers fans, and tell you the truth about yourselves. Now, I have family that are Green Bay Packers fans. I'm not talking about her. I have friends from high school that are Green Bay Packers fans. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the 97% of y'all to let you know that you are unequivocally the worst fan base in all sports. It's not even close. Let's start with some things that you guys, some misnomers about your team that you believe and basically have come to an end as of tonight. And it's been glorious. One, this whole belief that you guys think you own your team, clearly you don't. Because if the fans own this team, there's no way in hell Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams would have ever been separated to begin with. So stop thinking your team is so great because, yes, the fans have ownership. No, you don't. You got some cute little gold pieces of paper with green cursive Sanskrit writing on it that make you think you own shit. That's one. I'm getting that out the way. Number two, the luck of this organization. I can't think of any other team in its history that has had 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks. You have had eras defined by quarterbacks. In fact, I am 39 years old going on 40. Mike Bazemore is 39 going on 40. Chris Turner is 38 going on 39. For 30 of those years, you have had 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks and you've won 2 Super Bowls. Are you shitting me? 2. And you've been to 3. The Bears have been to 1 Super Bowl with Rex Grossman. The Eagles have won a Super Bowl with Nick Foles. You guys are not as good as you think you are. You never have been. And here's the finale. Your quarterbacks have reflected who you guys really are as a fan base. I want you to really look hard at, in my opinion, 2 of the greatest to ever do it. I would have loved to have caught passes from both these guys as a receiver. They have made and helped a lot of guys make a lot of money in this league. Let's start it the right way. Sterling Sharp is the guy that really started all this. So as much as my cohort says, they do respect me to some, but they do hate me because I'm on the offensive side of the ball. That's just the way it is. This all started with a wide receiver. A talent as good as Sterling Sharp started Brett Favre's career. And once that happened, all hell broke loose in Green Bay. And here's the reality of it. You guys are just as arrogant as all your quarterbacks are. Big fan of the way Brett Favre played the game. How's he lived his life? Ooh. Wolf. I don't think outside of maybe Dan Marino, there may not be a prettier throwing motion. I just love Dan's, Chris. It's not because we're on the show. I've always loved Dan. I wanted to get it out. I like the Warren Moon over the top because it was like poetic, and he just looked like he looked like he was in charge. But Dan's shit was just. But Aaron Rodgers throwing a football it's fucking gorgeous. Like, I'm always gonna be man up to admit how great this guy is. But his arrogance has blown your team to smithereens. You got beat by Jared Goff, who got cast off because LA was like, nah, bitch, we cool. And Jared Goff and Dan Campbell, who arguably could be coach of the year, have taken Jamal Williams, who you didn't believe in, and led the league in rushing touchdowns this year. Amon-Ra St. Brown, who nobody wanted to draft. Aiden Hutchinson, who Chris still believes ain't shit, but will be the defensive rookie of the year. And Baze hates him. And that's what you lost to in Aaron Rodgers' finale. Like, you didn't at least lose to Justin Fields running for 250 yards. You lost to Detroit. And the arrogance of Aaron Rodgers to make sure cameras could see him saying goodbye to Randall Cobb. And he ain't even going to say but goodbye to you guys. You got what you deserve as a fan base. You guys have been arrogant for 30 years. You thought that shit was easy. You thought it was, hey, we're this good. I'm going to be honest with you. Chris Turner's seen it with his team. I've seen it in Chicago for a number of years because I've had GOATs play for my teams. You guys have had some greats, but you've never had GOATs. Let it go. It's going to be a long rebuild. As Chris Turner said to Jacksonville, I wish you nothing but moderate. No, I hope it is a complete dumpster fire. Come on down to Chicago Bears territory. Because at least if the Bears listen to this podcast, they might go, that crazy guy that's been shitting on Justin Fields for 2 years on his show. He's actually pretty fucking brilliant. Spend my minute.
America, with all that being said, big shout out to everybody who tuned in. Big Dre, of course, even though you're pretty much a member of the show all by yourself. But
shout out Green Bay for losing today. Made my
shout out to Green Bay. Shout out to Zach Tapp. Hey, appreciate you being in and out, my brother. We appreciate you. Michelle Kelly. I'm assuming you're from Jacksonville, sweetheart, because of the message that you left me. So I appreciate you tuning in to the show. Yes, I am from Jacksonville, Florida. I'm from the west side, though. That's why I got the right to say out east is the worst part of Jacksonville, Florida. So if you took that personally, tough, deal with it. I'm still from the west side.
And she signed out immediately after you gave me a minute.
Oh, immediately.
She's gone, Baze.
With all that being said, appreciate everybody who tuned into the show tonight. Make sure you follow, subscribe, and like us on all the socials, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all Twitter, all that good stuff. Make sure you follow us and like us and all that good stuff.
Hey, Chris, we're going to do the predictions for the playoffs. This is where Mike Bazemore has made his gold. When you give him the playoff platform, the last time we actually did predictions on this show, which was the, I think the college football playoff back, he guessed every team.
Yeah.
I think it was in 2021, and he picked it in October. So Baze is going to have an opportunity to see if he can go 8 for 8 in the first round of the wild card. I'm looking forward to that. Actually, no, it'll be should be 6-0. It'll be 3 games on each side. So yeah, we'll have that going. I'm excited for that.
So big shouts out to everybody who joined us tonight. Shouts out to the director who has no sports gambling going on whatsoever because of his affiliation to NCAA school.
And neither do I, due to my affiliation to my wife.
I got a couple side bets. I didn't go sit here front. Anyway, with all that being said, big shouts out to everybody who joined us.
Sponsors.
Zach Tapp said, thanks for the show. If the Fins play the Jag, I'll be right there in my Dan Marino jersey, right along with you. So I appreciate that.
Hey, shout out Zach.
So with all that being said, big shouts out to everybody. But the same way we end the show, the same questions that I ask every time I get a chance, it's the same question I'm going to ask Walt tonight. What is that?
What's good, America?
What's good, America?